Whether or not you meet the person online or face to face, you're still going to end up getting the same result. Good morning, everyone. I am Trey with the First Date Fix, and today we're going to be talking about dating stigmas. What are dating stigmas, you might ask? It's when there are negative connotations associated with a specific dating principle, i.e., if one of my homies goes on a date with a girl and he texts her the same day, I would say something stupid like, "Oh, you never text a girl on the same day to say how much you enjoyed that date, man," which is a negative dating stigma. And today we're going to be talking about my top 10 dating stigmas. I'm going to be talking about how it's stigmatized, and I'm going to be talking about the reality of it. Let's go! It's better to meet in real life than online. You can't make a genuine connection with someone online. Let's talk about the reality of this, shall we? People are people, whether you meet them online or whether you meet them face to face. If there's a fuckboy, he's going to be a fuckboy face to face or online. If you meet a gentleman at the gym, he's not going to turn around and say, "I've met her at the gym. Typically, I ghost women after I've had sex with them. But on this occasion, because I met her face to face, my fuckboy tendencies will go completely out the window." That is not how it happens. People are always going to be people. Now, granted, they might have been a bit jaded through the process of online dating. They might be used to a certain type of dating routine. So the reality of it is that either you were meant to be together and you two can work through any issue, or it was a person who is pretty much an asshole anyway. I'm sorry to burst that bubble. Granted, it's kind of like a movie when you meet someone at, a bookstore, or you meet someone at the grocery store. Fine, it's a cuter story. But in reality, 52% of Americans are meeting their spouses, their significant others, their partners online. So let's just nix that stigma, shall we? Stigma number 2. You can't talk about sex on the first date. Why the hell not? There's something called approach and delivery. And I'm gonna give you 2 examples. "So baby, what's your favorite sex position?" Right? Versus having a conversation and her saying, "Oh, I split up with a guy. To be quite honest, the sex was kind of bad." And you say, "Oh yeah, I hate bad sex. It's kind of one of the worst things in the world, blah, 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 blah." Like, that's a natural discussion about sex versus just coming out of it saying,
"Yeah, are you trying to smash or what? What's going on, girl?"
So you can talk about sex on a first date, but it has to arise naturally. There really shouldn't be too many things that hold back exactly what you guys discuss. However, it needs to arise naturally, and I wouldn't have the whole first date talking about sex unless the both of you want to get down and jiggy in the first 45 minutes. Talk about all you want. Okay, number 3, you don't kiss on the first date. So many people have been neurologically brainwashed by these romantic comedies where, the protagonist and the other protagonist don't kiss until they've had a specific event that happens, or the 3rd or 4th date, because they're getting to know each other. It doesn't make you a lustful or bad person if you kiss someone on the first date, okay? If you have both had an incredible date and you find that person significantly attractive and you have a good feeling that they find you attractive too, have at it. Go in for that smooch. Stuff like that is where the best dating stories come from, as opposed to, "I really wanted to kiss him on the first date, but I didn't because you don't kiss on the first date." What? It always makes me laugh when we as a society give ourselves self-imposed laws and rules that not one person in this world is policing. Number 4, men should make the first move. Granted, I would say 98% of the time I make the first move, fair enough. But it's 2020. Men should not always make the first move. And if he's the kind of gentleman who's going to label you a slut or a hoe if you make the first move, then he's not the person for you. The reality is that if we truly are about quality in all aspects of life, every now and then it's okay if a woman makes the first move. However, I would only advise a woman makes the first move unless 1, you feel very comfortable with this gentleman, 2, you have a very, very, very good feeling about who they are as a person, and 3, you feel like, "I might have a good one." So go ahead, make the first move and plant one on him. It's going to take a lot of courage. You very well might get rejected, but hey, It's the story of my life. Whenever I go in for a kiss with someone, I'm like, ugh, she might say no, she might not kiss me. But for the most part, you will be stronger if occasionally you go in and try and make the first move. Me personally, though, I love making the first move. I think there's something very gallant about it. I'm going in for a kiss, the gentleman I am. Number 5, calling or texting too much makes you seem too interested. What's the reality of this? Well, why would you not want to show someone you're interested? Granted, I'm not saying call them every 5 minutes and text them every 2 minutes, but I don't know why people are so afraid of showing someone that they're interested, right? Like, the reality is, if this person is as interested in you as you are to them, no matter how much you text them, it's going to be warranted. It's going to be welcomed. It's going to be received. If it's not welcomed, if it's not received, that person just isn't that into you. So be yourself. The reality is that if someone sees you as a 10 out of 10, it truly will not matter how much you text this person. Trust me. Number 6, playing hard to get makes them want you so much more. Rubbish, 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 poppycock, and all the other words under the sun that will completely dismay this terrible stigma, okay? Now, maybe that worked in the 90s or 80s when, quite frankly, people didn't have too many options by grace of not having technology, right? However, now, even your basic average looking person has an abundance of options in their phone. They have a dating bar in their phone. So if you play hard to get and pretend you're not interested, guess what? They're gonna move on to someone else who is interested. It's very, very simple. So playing hard to get is an old, dated notion. The reality is that we really need to get rid of it. And the reason why we need to get rid of it is because everyone has options these days. Playing hard to get is rubbish. Number 7, and some of you might hate me for this, but a man should always pay for the date. Now, granted, I believe, this is my personal belief, so I'm not saying you should believe it, the first couple of dates, a man is expected to pay. Fine, I'm at peace with that, great. I would love to sweep you off your feet and take you to a place where we can just connect. However, after the first couple of dates, if you truly are interested in me, it would be nice if you said, hey, you got the popcorn, let me get the cinema tickets. It would be okay if you turned around and said, you know what, you've taken me to some great places. Let me take you somewhere. It's okay. It's 2020. You can still embrace your feminine by doing that and showing him that you're just as interested. A man should not be paying for all the dates. And I'll tell you why. Because if he does, eventually he's going to be sitting back and he's going to be thinking to himself, is she really that interested? I mean, I've paid for all these dates. She hasn't offered once. How much does she really care about me? And that, I mean, that's a story in itself. Then it goes down and down and down and down and down from there, okay? And they might start to, passively resent you for it, okay? A man should not always pay for the dates. You know better. Number 8, dating sucks. It's so hard. Dating does not suck. It just so happens that occasionally you might go out with a sucky person. Or, to be blunt, you might be part of the issue more than you realize it. Trust me, I had to learn this the hard way when I told myself, women are so stuck up. No, I was so stuck up. I was projecting my own egos onto them. And I had to learn the hard way. Dating is great if you find the right person. Dating is great if you take a good introspective look into who you are, the things you need to improve, and what you have to bring to the table in regards to any given relationship. Life is always, and I've said this so many times and I will say it again, life will always be 20% of what happens and 80% of how you receive it. Number 9, you'll get a much better relationship with someone who's closer to your age. This is one of those storied stigmas that I believe is complete garbage. I've dated someone who is 8 years younger than me, and she by far had more maturity and social EQ than about 60% of the women I have ever taken seriously. The last lady I dated before her was 36, so she was significantly older than me, but she was like a child. Like she would argue about everything, whereas the other lady who was 8 years younger than me, she was more mature than me. So essentially, age, yeah, sometimes it matters, but for the most part, their personality and their experiences, where they were born, like geographically, all of those different variables matter to who a person is. So age really doesn't matter too much. However, when you start going 10 plus or 10 minus, be careful with that, okay? Number 10, everyone on dating apps is hooking up. No. There are good quality people everywhere you go. Not everyone on a dating app is hooking up. If you have that mentality, you're going to be writing people off who could be the perfect match for you. I'll give you an example. I had a friend of mine who had gotten a girl's number off a dating app and they were scheduled to go on a date. Once they got each other's number, they texted a few times and he said, "Hey, I noticed you have a lot of face shots. Could you send me a full body pic so I can get a better idea of what you look like?" He's a man, he's a visual person. He had a perfectly good question. She turned around and said, "I'm not gonna send you any naked pictures. I'm not trying to hook up. I don't have to send you my boobs." Evidently, that's not what he was wanting. They never ended up meeting. But that's exactly my point. Don't assume the worst of people on dating apps. Not everyone is trying to hook up. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much in regards to watching this video about dating stigmas versus what the reality is. The reality is that most of the dating stigmas are absolute rubbish. Codswallop, poppycock, do not listen to them. Go by your own mentality and do what feels right. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.